It seems as though temperatures are rising these days. Everyone knows it's because of global warming. It's very dangerous. Higher temperatures are causing a lot of problems for the world. There are more hurricanes and floods. One of the most obvious signs of rising temperatures is the melting ice caps. Large parts of the Arctic and Antarctic are melting because the world is getting warmer. All over the world, countries are reporting their latest record temperatures. When I was a kid, I remember a newspaper headline in England because the temperature reached 30 degrees. It was major news. Now in England it's not unusual for it to be over 30 every summer. I hope temperatures don't go up much more. Tennis is one of the greatest games in the world. You can see people playing it in pretty much every country on earth. Anyone can play it. All you need is a tennis racket and a ball. You can even play it when you're 3 or 4 years old. Most of the tennis superstars start then. I spent many years when I was younger playing tennis. I was never any good, but I loved playing it. I remember having arguments with my friends over whether the ball was in or out. I'm sure I lost games because my friend said out when it was really in. The good thing about tennis is that many countries are good at it. This makes it a true world sport. There are also major tournaments that everyone in the world talks about. My favorite is Wimbledon. Ever since I can remember, I've seen terrorism on the news. I grew up in London. In the 1970s, we had a lot of bombings and I even heard a bomb once. There has also been terrorism in other countries from Spain to Sri Lanka, but terrorism really hit the headlines after 9/11. Suddenly there was a war on terror. The whole Western world prepared for terrorist attacks, and they came. There were bombs that killed hundreds in Bali and Spain and Iraq and London. Now Pakistan is feeling the terrible force of terrorism. When will it all stop? There has to be a time when people are happy and can live a day without wanting to blow up people they don't know. So much would change in the world if this happened. I hate tests. Who was it who decided that tests are a good way to test your knowledge? Probably someone who liked putting students through pain. Tests are so unfair. People who are good at remembering lots of things for a short time are good at tests. People who are geniuses but panic in tests aren't good at tests. Many clever people fail tests. Sometimes you can be really unlucky and you get some stupid questions, so you fail. I'm sure there are better ways of testing without tests. Project work is good. That way the teachers can see how good your work is throughout the year. I suppose some tests are necessary. Driving tests are a good way of testing your ability, unless you have a bad day. I don't understand why people want a pet. It's strange. Why would you want an animal to live in the same house as you? Some people let their pets sleep on their bed. This doesn't sound too hygienic to me. Cats and dogs spend a long time outdoors putting their feet in all kinds of mess. Then they come in the house with their dirty feet and walk all the bed. And pets smell. I suppose a cat or dog can be good for old people who live alone. Many old people talk to their pets. Small children also like pets. Looking after a cat, dog, hamster or rabbit teaches children responsibility. Some people have really strange pets like tarantulas or tigers. Perhaps the most boring pet is a goldfish. You can't do a lot with a goldfish. When I was growing up, I always thought the theatre was for rich people. I guess in a way it is. Theatre tickets in London are pretty expensive, especially for a whole family. But as I got older, I found you could go to the theatre quite cheaply. I found dozens of smaller theatres in London that had very reasonable prices. You could also get discount tickets for the big theatres. Going to the theatre is a wonderful experience. It's great sitting in your seat with your programme. I always wonder what the set will look like. I'm always impressed by the quality of acting. Actors are brave people. They stand on stage in front of an audience of hundreds and look so calm and confident. Tigers are the most beautiful creatures on earth. They look so striking in every way. Their size is awesome. They are much bigger than humans and 10 times more powerful. They are very fast and very agile. But the best thing is their colour and pattern. I can't think of another animal that has better colours. I also love looking at tigers' faces. Nowadays, though, I get a little sad when I look at tigers. I always wonder how long they can survive. The number of tigers around the world is decreasing every year. Their habitat is getting smaller and more people are hunting them. There is a big danger that tigers will become extinct. We might have tigers in zoos, but it's not the same. There never seems to be enough time to do things. I always seem to run out of time. I really wish there were more hours in the day. Then I could slow down and relax and get everything done. Time is a fun thing. Sometimes it flies, usually when you're having fun. Other times it drags and goes painfully slowly. Sometimes I look at the clock and I think it's going backwards. I think it's very important to spend my time wisely. It's too important to waste. For me, time is very precious at the weekends. I can spend some quality time with my family and friends. I always have a good time at the weekend. I like the expression time is money. It kind of shows how valuable time is. Oh well, that's that. Time for me to go now. Tourism has changed a lot over the past few decades. It is actually quite a new thing. It probably didn't exist 50 years ago. The only people who travelled then were rich and they were called travellers. I guess tourism started in the late 60s and early 70s when airplane travel became cheap. The idea of foreign travel suddenly became very popular with millions. Everyone wanted their 2 weeks of sun in the summer. Tourism today is a multi-billion-dollar industry. There is hardly a corner of the earth untouched by tourism. The number of tourists is also rocketing. Millions of people from Russia, India and China are now taking vacations. Tourism really is making the world a global village. I'm not sure if this is a good or a bad thing. I love toys and I'm nearly 50 years old. I think they're great fun. Of course, I only play with toys with my grandchildren. Toys of any kind keep children happy. Even if it's a horrible, cheap, free toy from McDonald's, they love them. The thing that amazes me is how little toys have changed. The same toys are in the shops today as when I was a kid. I guess some toys will never change. There'll always be Lego and cars and toy telephones. The biggest difference with today's toys is that many are digital. Today's toys speak to you and children interact with them more. They're not so good in the bath, though. I don't think I'll ever get tired of toys. I still love going to toy stores and buying them as presents, of course. Someone really should do something about the traffic. It's terrible. It's getting worse every day. There are so many cars on the roads these days. It's a nightmare driving in the city. Bumper to bumper even at midnight. I don't know where all this traffic came from. You turn on the radio and the traffic report is all about congestion here, snarl-ups and gridlocks there. The answer must be to get better public transport. Let people take the train or bus. People need to leave their cars at home. The roads are too dangerous. And then there's the pollution. It's disgusting outside sometimes. You feel like you're breathing pure fumes. We need to get rid of these traffic jams so we can move and breathe more easily. Trains are great. They must be the best way to travel. It's so nice sitting on the train seat, stretching your legs and looking out the window. I love looking at the world go by from the train window. Taking a train in another country is even better. It's like being in a movie. I've always loved trains. I love the sound, smell and motion. Usually catching a train means going somewhere nice. Most of my train journeys have been to different cities, often on vacation. I'm not so keen on commuter trains, especially crowded rush-hour subway trains. Everybody looks miserable because there's no space and people are on their way to work. My dream is to take all of the world's great train journeys. Translation is a tricky business. There are so many things that are very difficult to translate from one language to another. Of course, lots of words are easy. A book is a book in all languages. But is it? In English, you can go by the book if you want to follow the rules. What book is this? Many of the things that are difficult to translate are cultural. I also think it's pretty much impossible to translate jokes and humor. I think that's why we have the expression, lost in translation. Being a translator must be a difficult job, especially translating things like legal documents. If you make one tiny mistake, you could mess everything up. One day we'll translate everything on the internet. Transplants are amazing. It's incredible to think how much doctors can do. A few decades ago, doctors conducted the first heart transplant. It was headline news. It was like a medical revolution, the greatest breakthrough in science. Today, thousands of heart transplants take place around the world every day. No more headlines. What makes the headlines today is a face transplant. That's weird. Imagine waking up one day and you have another person's face. It's great though. The face transplants that have taken place have totally changed lives. I wonder what other transplants we'll have next. What would a brain transplant do? That would be really scary. This would be the same as having a personality transplant. Transportation hasn't really changed a lot in the past 100 years. When you think about changes in other areas of our life, transportation is pretty much the same as it was years ago. Okay, cars, trains and airplanes are faster, but they're not so different than they were 50 years ago. Take airplanes, for example. I think air travel has got worse. 50 years ago, people flew and were given great service. Today, you are like sardines in a can. And look at cars. The cars from 50 years ago look nicer than today's ones. They still had 4 wheels, used petrol and had a steering wheel. I think transportation will really only change when it becomes more personal. I'm waiting for my own jet pack of minicopter. Traveling gives you many wonderful experiences you cannot find in your own country. You meet local people and get to understand different cultures. It's so exciting. I love planning trips and doing some research on the country or countries I want to visit. Sometimes I like to plan everything in advance, my flights, hotels and tour, etc. For me, the most exciting thing is arriving in a country with no hotel reservation and no fixed plans. I prefer staying in hostels and guest houses. You get to meet and talk to different and interesting people and share information. I also like to visit places that are off the beaten track. Being somewhere with thousands of other tourists, it's not my cup of tea. The whole world is fascinated by UFOs. Do they exist or don't they? I bet you know someone who says they have seen a UFO, probably someone a little crazy. If you think about it, UFOs are real. There are many things flying around in space and scientists don't know what they are. That means they are unidentified flying objects, UFOs. Now it's a different matter about UFOs being spaceships full of little green men. I'm not sure that's true. I'm sure if aliens in spaceships traveled all the way to Earth, they would pop in and say hello. I'm also sure that if there were UFOs flying around our galaxy, NASA telescopes could spot them. One day our spaceships will be UFOs and we'll be the aliens. The United Nations is a very important organization. It was started after World War II to help keep peace in the world. Nearly every country on Earth is a member of the UN. Some countries want to be but can't because other countries say they aren't countries. This includes places like Taiwan and Palestine. I think the UN works pretty well. There are lots of arguments between countries, but that's normal. The biggest arguments seem to be between America, China and Russia. They never seem to agree. There are so many parts to the UN. There's the Security Council and the General Assembly. These are the two most important parts, but then there are the umbrella agencies like UNICEF and UNESCO. The universe is a big place. I don't think anyone can understand just how big. The universe never, ever ends. It is infinite in size. It's funny when scientists say they want to unlock the secrets of the universe. That's impossible. There are way too many secrets out there. The universe has given us an adjective in English that is misused. When we say something is universal, it doesn't make sense. That's because we're saying it takes place or happens all around the universe, when in fact it only happens on Earth. Another strange use of the word universe is that people talk about their universe. Sometimes they say their universe collapsed when something sad happened. Scientists even call our brain a mini-universe. University is one of the happiest times of our life if you go to university, that is. I totally loved my university days. I also loved my university. I had 3 great years of being a student. It was the first time I lived alone without my parents. I had to cook, wash and clean for myself. I loved it. I had complete freedom. I also loved the studying. It was much more interesting than studying at school. It was nice to just wander along to a lecture, do the reading and then do the assignments. I really felt like I was learning something. I also loved the social life at university. It's almost 24/7. There are always parties and things to do. You have to get the right balance between studying and partying. Valentine's Day is one of my favorite days of the year. I've always liked it, even from when I was a kid. I used to get lots of cards and then wonder who sent them to me. I'm married today, but Valentine's is still a special day for me. I spend a lot of money on a giant Valentine's Day card, chocolates, a teddy bear and other presents. I also reserve a table at a romantic Italian or French restaurant. It's also great getting presents and chocolates back. It seems that the whole world is in love on February the 14th. I wish it could be Valentine's Day every day. I really think it should be a national holiday. That way, we can all get to spend a wonderful, love-filled, romantic day with that extra special person in our life. I really don't understand why Valentine's Day is so popular around the world. I have never liked it from when I was a kid. I used to get embarrassed and go bright red if I got a Valentine's Day card. I also felt bad if I didn't get a card. We had a Valentine's Day delivery service at our school. You posted your card in the special mailbox. The teachers would then deliver the cards to the lucky students. The unlucky students probably felt bad, unloved and ugly. Valentine's Day should be every day. If you love someone, tell them every day. You should also buy them presents, flowers and take them to dinner very often, not just once a year. Valentine's is horribly commercial these days, isn't it? I hate it. Vandalism is a problem that is only in some countries, but I think it is spreading. When I grew up there was vandalism everywhere. It was almost part of growing up. The kids at my school all dared each other to vandalize something. It's totally stupid behavior. I don't understand why someone thinks it's good fun to destroy a telephone box or smash the windows of a shop. In many countries I have been to, I have seen no signs of vandalism at all. Why are some countries full of vandals and other countries are? It's funny, because the countries with the most vandals are the ones that say they are the best. I think children should be taught about the problem of vandalism at school. If everyone in the world was a vegetarian, I think the world would be a better place. There simply isn't enough land anymore for cows and sheep to feed on. We are losing too many forests because farmers want more land to raise cows so we can eat beef. Vegetarianism is one way to help the earth. It's also one way to help ourselves. So many of us are fat because we eat too much meat. If we were all vegetarian, we would all be healthier. We all need to eat more vegetables. That's the easiest way of looking after our health. If we were all vegetarian, we would also save lots of money on healthcare. We wouldn't have all the heart problems that you get with eating meat. I wonder if we can all stop eating meat. Video games have taken over the world. They have definitely taken over my children's world. It's all they talk about. PlayStation this, Nintendo Wii that. I'm not happy about it. I limit the amount of time they spend playing games to an hour a day. They play their games, get it out of their system, and then do their homework. After that, they go to the park to run around. This is important. Too many children don't get enough exercise because they spend half the day playing games. They are pretty addictive. Once you start playing a game, you want to do more or go to the next level. The Wii is okay. At least you can get some exercise while you play it. It's actually very good fun. Still not as good as real exercise though. Why is the world so full of violence? I think violence must be a strong part of our personality. So many of us use it to resolve a problem or even to have fun. There's absolutely no need for it at all. Even the world's most intelligent people resort to violence. Surely the world's leaders understand using violence against another country is a good way to resolve problems. The most violent people in our world are those who order armies to kill other people, except they don't call it violence. They call it fighting for freedom, fighting for peace, or some equally stupid phrase. There is also too much violence in our societies. There's domestic violence, sexual violence, street violence, violent crime. It's all over the news. Every time you turn on the TV, there's a story on violence. Our bodies need vitamins, that's a fact. If we don't get enough vitamins, we become ill. But how do we know if we're getting enough vitamins? I worry about that, especially because a lot of the food I eat isn't so healthy. I wonder how many vitamins there are in pizza and French fries. I know I should eat more fruit and vegetables, that's where the vitamins are. I thought about buying vitamin pills and vitamin supplements. But then I didn't like the idea of this. I read these are not so good for you. I really need to read up on vitamins. I have no idea what they do. Where do I get vitamin A and what does it do? I know vitamin C comes from fruit. I guess I should start eating more fruit. I love vocabulary. It's so interesting. I keep a vocabulary notebook and write down all the new words that I think are interesting. If I see or hear an English word, I write it down and look up the meaning in a dictionary. I then see if there are other words that belong to the family of my new word. For example, the other day I learnt that the word book is also a verb. It means reserve a room in a hotel. When I looked in the dictionary, I also learned booking, and then make a booking and cancel a booking. I'm glad I looked at this word because my vocabulary has increased a little more. It was easy. After that, my friend told me mean has many meanings. I'm going to find out what they are right now. I really like doing vocabulary activities. I think they're a great way for us to learn vocabulary. My teacher always gives us vocab activities that are like games. They are great fun and I'm sure that helps us remember the words and phrases. He makes us do the same activity again and again but changes the order of the words. Eventually I get 100%. When I was at school I learnt vocab from lists. That was really boring. My new teacher has shown me lots of different activities to remember vocab. He taught us to look for word patterns and focus on the family of a word. He also teaches us a lot of phrases and expressions. I really like vocabulary now, thanks to the fun activities we do in class. Being a volunteer is one of the best things you can do with your life. It's a great way to help other people. It's also very satisfying to know that you are not wasting your time and are helping people who need help. Many of us could and should be out there doing voluntary activities of some kind. So many volunteer organizations need extra hands. It really is easy. Just pick up the phone and offer your services. I think too many of us settle into a lazy lifestyle. We just want to come home and watch TV. Life is much more interesting when you're a volunteer. I found it really opens your eyes to how some people live. It's sometimes sad to see how the government lets people down, but at least I'm doing my bit. I like voting, it's quite good fun. I feel quite important when I go to the voting station. It's a shame it's just once every 4 or 5 years though. I'd like to vote more. I think we should be able to vote on lots of things. If we had some voting software, we could vote every week on whatever the big issue is. I wish I had a vote when the Iraq War came. I think that war wouldn't have happened if the people had a vote. I also think we should be able to vote when a criminal gets a sentence in court. The judge gives someone 5 years for murder and 25 years for stealing money. That's wrong. Voting is part of living in a democratic country. It's your country, so you should be able to have your say. Walking is one of the best forms of exercise you can do. People don't think it is exercise, but it is. If you increase the amount you walk every day, you will be healthier. In fact, it is possible to lose weight through walking, but you have to walk a lot. The best thing to do is think how you can walk instead of driving or taking the escalator. I find I walk a lot in my job. I'm sure walking up and down the corridors 100 times a day helps me stay healthy. You should try to go for a long walk every day. You'll find new areas of your neighborhood and feel great when you come back. And what about a walking holiday? Instead of sitting on the beach, get up into the mountains and walk all day. War is the worst thing in the world. I've never experienced it. I've never seen it. I never want to. Just looking at it on television is enough. What is war? It's when leaders think they have to be strong so they attack another country and kill more civilians than soldiers. That's war today. Generals and presidents always apologize for the loss of innocent lives, but their image as a strong man or woman is more important than the suffering and misery their decisions lead to. There are many examples of wars ending or being avoided through talking, but then talking doesn't feed the war machine. Lots of people get rich when their country goes to war, and we learn in our history books that we are good at war, so it's okay. I don't think it's just the bad people who are guilty of war crimes. The world's press always pick on the dictators or leaders they have decided are bad. They then make them into monsters and say they are guilty of terrible war crimes. This is probably true. They are guilty of war crimes. The strange thing is, countries like America and Britain can attack other countries and kill thousands of innocent civilians, but no one is a war criminal. Hundreds of people can die in a bombing, and their leaders call it collateral damage or an accident. I think we need to look again at what a war crime is. If a major world power drops a bomb on my house by mistake, someone must be responsible for that. Few people think about how important water is. We do when we're really thirsty. I remember hiking for hours in really baking sun without anything to drink. I was dreaming about drinking cool water, and when I came to a small river, the water was delicious and cool, but that was years ago. I think the water in that river is polluted today and dangerous to drink. That's sad. When I was a kid, water was fun. You could splash around in it and drink it in the countryside. Not today, though. Water is becoming more and more precious. In fact, there will soon be wars over water. We really need to start thinking more about water and how we can conserve it. Some countries use crazy amounts of water. There's so much wealth in the world, and there's so much poverty and suffering. Thousands of billionaires live like kings and queens while billions go hungry. They show off their wealth to each other. They fill their gigantic mansions with all the trappings of wealth. They must have luxury cars, expensive artwork, and overpriced jewelry. I wonder if these people ever think about how much a tiny part of their wealth could help others. Many billionaires could give billions of dollars away and never even notice it has gone. But that money could help millions of people around the world. If the rich shared their wealth, millions of starving children could eat. I suppose greed is a big part of being wealthy. You just want more. Weapons are among the world's biggest killers. I'm sure weapons are deadlier than diseases in some countries. I think we could do without weapons. The world would be a better place. Every time I turn on the news, there's another gun crime, another knifing, another lost life. Weapons are getting out of control. It seems you can't be cool at school anymore unless you have a knife. Many kids carry a gun to school in some countries. The worst weapons aren't those that criminals carry. No. The worst weapons are the ones our leaders are in control of. The weapons of mass destruction that kill thousands of innocent lives. These weapons can destroy a whole city. It's time we got rid of them. The weather means different things to different people. I come from England, so the weather is always a big topic there. People in England can't deal with the weather. A tiny bit of snow and no one goes to work. 2 days of 30-degree temperatures and it's a heat wave. 3 days and it's an emergency. I once lived in Dubai. No one really talked about the weather there. It was the same almost every day of the year. Hot, sunny, blue skies, no rain. I never looked at the weather forecast. I always knew what the weather would be like. Not like in England where people pray for the weather to be okay. But the weather is changing. Global warming is making it rain in the desert and dry in the rainforests. 30 years ago, no one had ever heard of the word website. Today, websites are one of the most important parts of our daily life. We can't get by most days without visiting one website or another. We have to log on to a website at work or send an essay or paper to our teacher. And then there are the websites we use for fun. Millions of people visit gaming websites every day. They play games with people on the other side of the world. We also use websites to communicate. We send mail, chat, talk via webcams and video conference. Nowadays we even make friends on websites like Facebook and Twitter. Many of us have our own website. We call it ourname.com and fill it with photos and our thoughts on life. You're in big trouble if you forget a wedding anniversary, especially if it's your own. I wonder who would be in bigger trouble, the husband or the wife. Most people would expect the wife to remember her wedding anniversary and the husband to forget it. I'm not so sure. I think the man might be better at remembering. There's more pressure on him to buy flowers, book a restaurant, and generally do the right thing. If the guy is really clever, he'll choose a wedding day that falls on an easy-to-remember date. You should never really forget the big anniversaries. 10 years, 25 years, your golden wedding anniversary at 50 years. I hope to see my diamond anniversary, that's 60 years. Don't know what's after that. What's 100 years? You can't beat a good wedding. I love going to weddings. It's a good excuse to dress up in your best clothes, meet lots of family and friends, and have a party. Let's not forget it's also the most important day in the lives of the happy couple. The whole day is happy. I like church weddings the best. I love the sound of the bells and the organ playing "Here Comes the Bride." Everyone and everything looks great at a wedding. The best bit is at the end, when the bride and groom make their vows and then say, "I do. I want my wedding day to be the best ever. I want all my friends at my wedding reception, and I want the best man to make a funny speech. And then it's off to somewhere exotic for my honeymoon." What would life be like without weekends? I live for weekends. I love weekends. When Thursday arrives, I start getting excited. The end of the week is near. The good times are about to begin. The very second I finish work, the weekend starts. I totally get into weekend mode. I usually have a lot planned. I have to go out on Friday night. Everyone's out and having a good time. Saturday is a good day for doing things. I usually go somewhere interesting. For 8 months of the year it's football season, so there's usually a good match on somewhere. Saturday is also the day I go to a nice restaurant. I meet my friends somewhere in town and we go and have a meal. I hate the end of the weekend. So many people worry about their weight, and so many people never worry about their weight, but they should. I think my weight is okay. I'm rarely overweight and I've never been underweight. I find it very easy to stick to the same weight. All I need to do is watch what I eat and do a little exercise. When you open a magazine, you see pages of ads telling us to watch our weight. There are dozens of slim young people with perfect bodies telling us we can be like them. All we need to do is buy the How to Lose Weight book for $50. I lost 15 kg once. It was easy. No lunch for 6 months and lots of exercise. The problem is I stopped exercising and put it all back again. It's easy to gain weight if you're not careful. Whales are absolutely beautiful creatures. It's amazing to think how big they are. But I guess they're a tiny dot when they're in the ocean. I think whales are among the most interesting animals on Earth. Are they animals or fish? I know they are mammals, so I guess that might make them animals. One day I really want to go whale watching. I think it's one of those must-do things in life. I suppose I'd better do this soon before all the whales die out. I worry about the future of whales. It seems humans are doing everything they can to make lots of species extinct. Some countries take part in whaling, and others destroy the oceans so whales can't eat. One day, we'll only see dead whales in museums. Winter is my favorite season. I love everything about it. I like the cold weather, which always makes the sky seem so blue. I also like being able to see my breath in the cold air. In summer, it's difficult to keep cool outside, but in winter it's easy to keep warm. I really like hiking in winter. The cold really makes you feel alive. It's also great getting home to a nice warm room. Winter also has the best holidays. I love getting together with my family and then celebrating the new year. Winter is a really good time to go on vacation because the sites are usually empty. If you go anywhere in Europe in winter, you can be sure of getting a hotel room and you never have to wait to get into a museum. I think the Vancouver Winter Olympics will be really special. It's such a great place to have the event. I'm not sure if I like the Winter or Summer Olympics better. I'd rather be a competitor in the Summer Games, it's warmer. The Winter Olympics are definitely the most beautiful. Looking at skiers come down a snowy slope against a blue sky is a wonderful sight. I also love the Winter Olympics because of the skating. It's amazing watching the speeds the speed skaters reach, they're so fast. I also think the figure skaters put on a fantastic show. Another Winter Olympic event I like is the luge. I think people have to be crazy to sit on almost nothing and shoot down an ice tunnel at high speeds. I wonder who will win the most gold medals. Maybe it'll be Norway or Russia. Half of man is woman. That's a Chinese expression. I think it means half of the population is female and we are all equal, but we're not really equal. Women have a much harder time in life than men. Lots of women in developed countries have an okay life, but women in developing countries have a terrible time. They have to look after the family and their husband's family, cook, have children and farm the fields. They need to be incredibly strong. I think women are stronger than men. They need to be with what they have to put up with. I also think they're more sensible than men. But are they more intelligent than men? No, I think men and women are equally intelligent, except when it comes to reading a map. The world is full of words. They are everywhere we look, everywhere we hear. Words also fill our head. Words have the power to fill us with every emotion we can imagine and some we can't imagine. The words in a beautiful poem or song can make us cry, hope and laugh. It all starts with a mama or dada. They are our first words. Soon after that our parents tell us not to say bad words. Then it's a lifetime of building up our vocabulary. Some of us even want to learn thousands of words in another language. I wonder how many words we can remember. Thousands and thousands, but sometimes you don't need many. If someone says, I want a few words with you, I get worried. I think writing is the most difficult skill in English. I'm not sure why. Some students are really good at speaking, but their writing is terrible. Why can't they just pretend they're speaking but write it all down? You certainly have more time to think when you write. I think writing has got easier in recent years. Computers and the internet have helped us, although I think many teachers would say technology is not a help. But it's true. We have spell checkers when we type. They even warn us if we've made a mistake with grammar. There is also translation software, but that can produce gobbledygook. And then there are new places to write. With mobile phones and sites like Twitter, you don't have a lot of space to write. Do you like doing writing activities in class? I think they're quite interesting. It's not really like writing. The way we write in my language is different from English. The sentence and paragraph structures are different. My teacher gives us fun activities so we can do writing a bit at a time. Sometimes we brainstorm and write, sometimes we speed write for 10 minutes. One of my favorite activities is writing in pairs. We have to agree on what to write. We even have to agree on the spelling and punctuation. That makes us think about the best way. I think this is very good for me. I also like doing online writing activities. It's good to help me practice typing. I need more writing activities. Xenophobia is a strange word. For a start, it starts with an X, but the first sound is Z. It also looks strange, but it is a very serious word. There is too much xenophobia in the world today. There is no need for people to fear foreigners. We are all pretty much the same. The world is getting smaller, so we need to learn to live with our neighbors. I can understand why people were xenophobic. Most countries had a long history of fighting wars against their neighbors, so it was probably natural that people didn't like them. Today, however, it seems crazy that you would not like your neighbor or people on the other side of the world. I hope that within another generation, xenophobia will be a forgotten word. X-rays are amazing things. They were invented a really long time ago. I think when they were invented, they were real cutting-edge technology. I think a lot of people were amazed they could see photos of the inside of their body. So okay, it's only photos of bones, but still, that was pretty high-tech 50 years ago. Today, we all have X-rays. Even when we go to the dentist, we have X-rays taken of our teeth. Of course, X-rays are not just used in hospitals. Every time we go to an airport, we have to pass through an X-ray machine. The security guys can check to see if we have anything dangerous. Recently, I have seen X-ray machines in all kinds of places, even hotels. I even heard they are in schools. I like the word yes. I much prefer hearing it than hearing no. Yes is a very positive word. It means things can go ahead. You always hope the answer will be yes when you ask a question. The biggest question I asked was when I proposed to my wife. I was so happy when she said yes. Other times I like hearing this word is if I ask an interviewer if I got the job. I often say yes when I'm really happy or have done something really difficult. Even if I play a good shot at tennis, I say yes to myself. Even though it is a short word, it has many meanings depending on how you say it. You can express so many different emotions using just this word. Sometimes, yes can mean no. I think I say yes more than I say no. People complain a lot about youth, about young people. I think they have for the past 60 years or so. I don't think youth was much of an issue 100 years ago. Then young people were just young people. They respected older people, did what they were told, and didn't create trouble. Today, however, the word youth often makes us think of badly behaved teenagers. I think it all started with rock and roll. Suddenly young people decided they wanted more independence and could do what they wanted. They rebelled against society. A whole youth culture developed with youth fashion, youth clubs and music. Today we have things like youth crime. It would be nice if youth could have a more positive image. Zoos are very interesting, but I'm not sure if I agree with them. I like looking at the animals, but I always feel sorry for them. They usually look sad. Most of the time they are in tiny cages. They must miss the wild. I think animals need freedom as much as we do. Zoo bosses argue zoos are an important way of educating children. Of course, that's true. However, with the internet and television documentaries, there are many other ways children can learn about animals. Zoos also argue they are necessary to save endangered species. That may be true too, but most of the animals in zoos are not in danger of extinction. I suppose zoos are okay if they only have endangered animals and breed them for the wild.